Welcome to TNT, baby, the naked truth with Taylor Armstrong, where I'm going to expose everything about my life, and my guests are going to come on, get naked with me, and bear it all. Now, let's get naked.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I haven't talked to you in a long time.
I know, it's weird. We're usually always on the phone together. I've been so busy
Yeah.
because getting ready for Kennedy to go to college, which is unbelievable. There's so much to get done. And I
I
thought
know.
she's moving into this amazing apartment. And I thought, let's just wait until we get there and order everything. But no, I think
No.
we know better because
Yeah.
Kennedy now has so much stuff that has to be transported to college. It's changed my entire game plan. And it's all big stuff. It's
Oh my
like
gosh.
pots and pan sets, full dishes, like silverware, a huge mattress pad, sheets, towels, like everything.
Like a
And
whole apartment.
yes, but
How are you
all
gonna
the
get it
big
there?
stuff. I'm like, why did you get all the big stuff?
Well, I don't know. That's hard to get to Arizona in a Maserati. How are you gonna get it there?
Well, she has her little SUV. So I think we're going to have to just put the seats down and go with
Yeah.
it like that. But
What?
in the back, I don't know because and also you pull up. This is kind of cool. I've
Yeah.
never heard of this before.
Okay.
But then again, I didn't live in a high-rise apartment in college. I lived
Yeah,
in
I
a
know, like,
dorm. So this is a
yeah.
totally different deal. They have a barista, a meditation room, like this full gym,
What?
a rooftop pool, like stainless steel appliances. I'm like, I'm moving.
Can we move in?
We're moving.
It
We're
sounds
we
amazing.
could like a secret apartment and not tell her, and we could spy on her the whole time.
Oh,
It'd
that'd be so good.
good.
Oh my God.
We
She
could
would
get
catch
some.
you in like 2
I know
seconds.
she would totally catch me.
We're like
I think,
sunglasses.
and you know what else I noticed is okay. I got to go back to all the stuff that she bought, but then I also noticed, like when we come to spying on her, that as of the day school starts, she discontinued her Life 360.
What?
Yeah,
No, you gotta make that like an actual that has to be a necessary thing. Like,
a
we're not gonna
hundred.
keep your credit card open unless I'm on Life 360.
Right, but I wouldn't even have known. But I went on to see if I should grab her some lunch when I was bringing some home to see if she was at home,
Right?
and I looked, and it said expires August 26th, which is the day she starts school. And I
Oh
was
my
like, okay,
gosh.
sneaker sense, I got you.
So she's like, I'm independent. I'm 100%
I'm
independent.
independent now. I mean, you can
Yeah.
forget it. I'm
Yeah.
definitely you're staying on Life 360. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she
Oh my
buys all
gosh.
this stuff. And now, like you said, I was thinking it would be so much easier just to have everything Instacarted or Costco. It's 24
Yeah.
hours, 48 hours to get all this
Like, you
stuff.
get there and you like know the layout of your apartment. You kind of know where you want things. Like, you have to kind of be there and put your stuff in, right? Before you know
Uh,
everything you want.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
But no, apparently now we have all this stuff. But the cool thing is you pull up to this place and you have a time slot.
Ooh.
And her time slot is like 10:30 in the morning or whatever. And so they have a concierge service that comes and gets all her stuff and then they tag it and take it to her apartment.
They haul it?
They take it upstairs.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that the
That's
elevators
the
don't
part I
get
dread.
overrun. I know.
Oh, well, that's smart. They
Yeah.
probably have to do that because it'd be like people yelling at each other.
Right. And just
Like,
complete disarray because it's a
totally.
big, huge high rise and
Yeah.
everybody's moving in the course of 2 days.
Oh my
I know.
gosh.
So
So it's like
that's
a party house.
I
It's like a
know.
party building.
Gemma, bite your tongue.
Oh my gosh, a
No.
whole apartment building with like 18 to 22-year-olds, like
Yeah.
no
A rooftop
parents,
pool.
luxury,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I
barista.
know.
No,
I don't know.
like,
And it wasn't because this is what I chose. It was
Yeah.
because she
it's
waited so
because of
long
what
to
she
make a
chose.
decision. Right, exactly. She coincidentally waited so long to make a
Yeah.
decision
Mhm.
about which school
I'm now starting to question
that
that.
the
I don't.
dorms were full.
Yeah, I don't think missing the dorms was it just
Wait,
happened.
this was a total setup. Why
Now
do
I
I
have
not?
to have a luxury apartment.
Oh, darn it. It's the only thing close to campus.
Right? I know.
Walking distance.
Of
Yeah.
course.
So it's all happening. But
Oh my gosh.
I did KTLA yesterday with
Yes.
Dana Devin, who I adore. And our kids were in school together when they were little.
That's amazing.
Kennedy and her daughter. And so they're both going off to college. And Dana's like, oh my gosh, are you freaking out? Are you sad? Like,
Yeah.
how do you feel? And I feel
Aw.
excited for her. Like, this is a new chapter. And I feel like I'm saying that today. And then the day that I have to drive away, I'll probably just completely lose it.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to try not to do it in front of her.
It's gonna be so hard.
It's going to be so hard. But the thing that I'm realizing is even harder for me is Kennedy has had 7 best friends since they were like 13 years old.
Yeah.
And the Hateful Eight.
And you're the cool mom, so
I-
you know that you're the mom that's always with them too.
They're always at my house.
Yeah.
And especially several of them cheered together for all these years on, highly competitive cheer.
Right.
So they spent hours on end together and struggled together and succeeded together, got injured together. So they
That's so
really are
cool.
bonded more than just regular friends. They're truly like a family. I
Oh
mean,
my
they've
gosh.
just been together for so long. And it's been amazing to watch teenage girls. I don't know about you, but I hated high school because I just thought teenage girls
No.
were a
That
nightmare.
situation would have been my dream in high school.
Mine
I mean, that's
too.
why I always admired like team sports, like parents that really committed their kids to team sports because it's a lot on the parents too. Like it's a huge commitment. I just tried to do soccer and I only lasted like 3 seasons,
Uh,
2.5
It's a
seasons
lot.
really. But like it's a lot. So like competitive cheer, you're also talking about gymnastics and dance and all these other classes that they take to get that far, right? And they're
Yeah.
literally training, but then to be part of a team and especially like your girls, I think they're an example of what happens with those types of teams all over the world. It's a blessed upbringing because they're always going to have that foundation, right? Of working together. Where some of us has to learn it when we're older and we're not so good at working together in teams.
I know it is harder to find definitely when you're older, but I
Yeah.
think because they had to encourage one another for all those
Yeah.
years. I mean, all of them had major injuries. They tumble at such a high level. And so when one of them will be struggling, they're all there to lift each other up. And I think that's
Aw.
why the Hateful Eight bond is so tight in many ways, is that they literally live through the ups and downs of competition together. And then I think another big thing for them is they lived through COVID together.
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, they mostly stayed at my house. And at one end of the house, Kennedy had like 3 bedrooms at one end, and we pushed 2 king size beds together in one room, and then
Mm.
another king, and then a queen. So all the whole little end of the house was her end.
Aw.
And I would come in the morning, and they would all just be sitting on the 2 kings together with their
Yeah.
laptops doing school.
That's so
I
cool.
know. And the first like month, I would hear them asking Siri for all the answers. Or maybe like the first 2 weeks. And
Right?
I'd walk by and it'd be
Or
like,
like
hey Siri, who wrote the Gettysburg Address? And they're like,
yeah,
Abraham Lincoln. And
yeah,
then they'd be like, okay, it's C. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, you
yeah,
can't cheat your way. What do you can't
yeah. They're
cheat?
like, "Yes, we can."
You know,
What is everyone else doing right
right?
now?
And like by the
Yeah,
end of the first month, I was like, go for it. Pad your
yeah.
GPA. I don't care at this point.
At
I
this point,
mean,
like, nobody knew what was happening.
I-
My daughter graduated in 2020, so it was like
and she probably didn't even get a graduation.
no, everything she ever looked forward to, like prom, graduation, grad night, like all that stuff gone. And it's like, it was really like people like, oh, it's just a party. Like, but when you're that age and you haven't been to 100 parties yet, and you haven't bought 100 dresses yet, and you're like, 17 and you're like looking forward to prom or whatever. And it's like, it is a big deal when you've literally been talking about it since fourth grade.
It's like robbery. A
Yeah, it
part of
was like,
your
no,
childhood. It's
they were like,
terrible.
"Do you wanna drive by and get your, diploma, or do you want us to mail it to you?" Was like, "Okay, that's like your whole family party, like, the whole thing." Like, she didn't even wanna do a party. I was like, "Let's have the family over." She didn't wanna do anything, and she did the same thing, though. We were, like, doing her homework in the beginning, she was, like, totally with it, and by the end, it was like there was apps she was just give you can take a picture of the math equation with your phone, and then it works it all out for you, like, shows you the work.
Yeah,
So when you have to, like, show your work, like,
right.
this app literally shows you the work, and then you just write it down.
I know. And I don't even know why they even take
And
some of these classes anymore because they're never going to use any of this stuff,
no, and they have
And
no
so,
real teacher, and there's nobody there to, like, actually answer things, and then that actually made me wonder about the whole public school system in general and how much anybody's actually learning outside of COVID, because even
totally.
with the amount of, like, cheating, whatever, I think that she learned more during staying at home with COVID than her whole school system, just because she had to sit there and research and learn herself, and even if you're copying something, you are actually reading it and researching and you're still taking action mentally, right?
Right.
So I think it's a lot better than just like sitting in a classroom staring at a wall.
Yeah, and being
That's
talked
crazy.
to because
Yeah.
we both know we have to do research all the time on all different aspects of our lives, and
Yes.
learning how to ask the questions to get to the result that you need is the most important lesson that you can learn.
I honestly think
Yeah,
so.
and we do it all the time. We're
Yeah.
constantly looking things up, and everybody is.
Yeah.
What we do without Google, I have no idea. So
It's
the girls
scary.
cheated. The girls had like I just let them cheat during COVID, but they were together the whole time, and I
Right.
felt horrible for other families whose kids were alone during all of that. But my girls
I
were
know.
together.
I
Like
know,
the
that's
eight
so
of them were
amazing.
awesome and together, and they were in the pool. And at the time, we were fortunate to have like a movie theater, and so they were just like living the
Oh my
dream.
god. Like, I wish I
Tennis
was at your
court,
house during
basketball court. I'm like, wait a minute. They're gonna hope school
They're
never
just
starts again.
yeah, no, right? It's like
And then
full-time
they were
vacation.
so cute. Like I had caught Instacart, Costco, like these girls can eat. I'll tell
I
you
was just
that.
gonna
They can
say
eat.
DoorDash must have been on quick dial with
Yeah.
all those kids in the house.
Yeah, it was great. And
Yeah.
they'd be like, Mom, we're out of goldfish crackers. And I'd be like, okay, putting it on the list,
Yeah.
and I was loving every minute of it,
Yeah.
actually, just
Right.
enjoying. I mean, what were we going to do? Like,
Yeah.
just let them bond and be together. And they were able to be around each other because none of them were sick and
I
they just got to hang
know.
out. And
That's so
I do think that
amazing.
it helped fortify this massive family bond they have.
Oh my gosh, 20 years from now, maybe not now, but 20 years from now, Kennedy will look back and be like, that was the coolest time of my life. Like literally, because like just to have that time where you're like, you don't have to go to work and you don't have to like support anybody and you don't have to like do anything, right? Like you're just there with your friends and the minimal stuff you have to do, which at the time probably seemed like a lot with schoolwork. Like 20 years from now, I'll be like, why couldn't I just do that math paper? Like, my whole life was so amazing.
She was so
Yeah.
funny. She's like, Mom, I got an 89 on my biology test. I'm like, 89? You
Yeah.
couldn't get the 90?
Yeah.
You were cheating. I told you to pad your GPA. Go for the A. You were
Go
just
for the
right
A.
there. But I don't know.
You had Google.
Right? Somehow they've made it through it and
Yeah.
now they are going their separate ways. And that's the hardest part for me. I really feel like it's not just her going away because as I said, I'm excited for her,
Yeah.
a new chapter. But now only 3 total of the 8 are going to the same school. And
Aw.
then a few are going to another school together. But this weekend, we were asking, and they were over and they were having a little party. And the first one was leaving the next day. And I've seen,
Yeah.
I'm going to cry.
Aw.
And I know, see, this is what's going to kill me. It's them.
Oh.
I know, them separating. Okay, well,
Oh,
anyway, she was like,
okay.
oh my gosh, she gave me a huge hug. See, you're going to have to talk now. I can't.
Oh my gosh,
I
because they're
know,
making
I
you
know.
cry.
It
But you're gonna
is.
see them again. They're
I
gonna be back all
know.
the time for parties. And that's the thing where technology is so cool. Like you guys should literally schedule like Zoom rooms with everybody and even the moms. And like everybody could talk to each other on a Zoom once a month or something.
Yeah,
That
that's a
would be
great
cool.
idea, especially,
And then
the
you can see
girls.
everybody's faces.
That would
You
be cute.
know?
And the moms are all gonna be here. So the moms and I, we could all get together physically,
Yeah.
get together, and then the girls could all like Zoom in and talk to us as a
That would be
group.
so cool.
That's a great idea. I
But
love
see,
that.
that's what I'm saying. Like it's a big part of your life also. And so that's like what's really hard. And like even when my daughter like got married and left, which is like totally different than college, Hannah.
It's like bigger though because she's gone forever now
I'm like,
and has
that's
a
okay.
husband and is
She'll be like me and go back to college like when she's like later after she has the kids. But it's like I just was like, what do I do with myself? Like, what do I do with myself right now? And people would be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what I always did, but like without my daughter. And people that know me, like even with the networking and the meetings, that always bring her with me. Like she was like my best friend. And so it was like, I was so sad to see her leave. And we still talk because of technology. Like I get FaceTimes with my grandson now. And like every morning I wake up, I'm like, when I told her, I was like, you know when I wake up to your FaceTime and there's just this baby googling and gagaing
Oh
on
my
the thing,
gosh, it's
I
everything.
actually feel better all day. Like,
Yes.
and so now she calls me like every morning and tries to get me. Like I know she does. She didn't say she's doing it, but all of a sudden she'd like, "Good morning, grandma." And so it's cute.
everything.
So I think you're gonna get that. Like
yeah.
it might take her because she's going to this luxury apartment building with all her friends, and it might take her a couple months to realize you're gone. but then after that, it'll start evening out, and she'll start calling and realizing she needs you.
Well, I was actually surprised because
Yeah.
she said, I was talking about like doing some traveling after I take her to school. And she's like, well, how long are you going to be gone? Because I'm planning on coming home like every 3 or 4 weeks.
Right?
And I was thinking,
You are?
Really? Okay. I mean, and she doesn't just say things to sugarcoat things with me.
Right.
She's a tough little cookie.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay. I mean, I'll definitely be here. You tell me what
Yeah.
days you want to come home and I'm here. I was surprised, but I have a feeling once she gets there, she's going to be like, no, I'm in every 3 or 4 months. But then I have the holidays.
Yeah,
So,
of course.
all
And
I
at least
have
those
is-
are coming up too.
Right.
But then I do see that was her vulnerability statement because I imagine, like, even though I don't know Kennedy that well, I imagine she's a lot like Hannah just because of our upbringings and what they went through as kids. So I pictured her to be very like strong-willed and strong-minded and everything. And so her just saying that she plans on coming home at all is her vulnerability statement. Right? Because you're like, oh, see, you do need me. You do want me to come home. You do want to come home.
Yeah, is that vulnerability because she's thinking to herself, "What if I get there and I can't handle not
Yeah.
being at home anymore?" Like, is that
It's a big
she's
step.
gone so much because of her huge friend group all
Yeah.
live in the same neighborhood
Right?
except for her, which of course is all my fault because I have to be closer to the beach, but yeah, so she's with them so much
Mm,
over there since she has a car, it's just made it so much easier for her to be, which I kind of think in some ways I was trying to decide if this is God's way of helping us or the universe's way of helping us not just fall to bits when our children leave, is that as they go into their teenage years, their independence is growing. And
yeah.
so they're out with other people and they have their cars. And so you get weaned off of them maybe a little
A
bit.
little
A
bit,
little. So it's
for
not all of a
sure.
sudden you're with them every single morning and night and everything, and then they're gone.
Yeah,
Just
that's true too.
disappear.
They do. It is like a slow
It
progression,
really
but
is.
it is I just think it's hard no matter what. Like, I mean, and that's just something they like you understand like as a parent, like from the time I had them, I mean, even through now, it's just like I'm constantly worried. Like it doesn't matter. Like it's always on your heart. Like, are they gonna be okay? Is it gonna be okay? Like, are they self-sufficient enough? Could they take care of themselves? If I can't take care of them, like, are they like grown into good people? Like all these different things, right? And like, are they gonna have to go through? And the big thing is you just want to prevent them from having to learn the hard lessons that you had to learn.
100%.
And that's, like, the biggest fear, and I think, like, I've definitely coddled my kids way too much. I mean, they'll even tell you, like, I was too helicoptery and, like, but I don't know, I think it's better to be a helicopter parent than to not be. I don't know, like, my daughter's very independent, my son's not independent at all. So
I know, but we were talking about this, how you
yeah,
parented them the same, and it's interesting because of that, but it
yeah,
happens all
but
all
I
all
don't
my
think
friends
I
that have multiple
did.
children, they
I
are the
don't
same. Their kids are totally different.
It's, like, so weird, like, I think you naturally like, even though you grew up in the same household, I don't think anybody parents exactly the same.
Oh,
Like,
really?
I think naturally you start to try to give each kid what they need rather than to what I mean, I did, rather than what I just wanted to give them, right? You know what I mean? Like
So it's not like a structured parenting style for each child because I
yeah,
only have one, so,
yeah, I feel like I started, like and I was never like "Oh, you got a gift, so you get a gift." I don't believe in that. I don't believe in like, "Oh, it's your birthday, it's your sister's birthday, so all the kids get a gift also." No, it's your sister's birthday, she gets a gift, and you're gonna have to deal with somebody else in your family getting something and you not getting it.
well, yeah.
Like, I think this, like, trying to make it fair and even thing isn't healthy, actually. So I did try to, like, raise them differently, but then maybe I'm totally wrong now that we're talking about it
No,
because, like, one is so totally self-sufficient and the other one's not.
but you probably looked at what their needs were along the way and adjusted, and
Yeah.
all people are
And
different.
what percentage actually has nothing to do with parenting, it has to do with genetics,
Oh,
has to
yeah.
do with your brain structure, your chemical structure,
Environment.
your environment. Like Noah was 2 years older than Hannah. So that's 2 years of life experience that he had that she didn't. So like there was like a different basis. And it's like interesting because my life as a parent totally changed between when I had Noah. When I had Noah, we were happily married. My husband worked full time. He wanted me to stay home with the kids, like all these things. And as we know, he like went on to have like an addiction problem with prescription meds and then like all these other things. So by the time I had Hannah, he was like full blown in like not mental sanity, right? Like he was off by that point.
Right, and Noah was the one your son was the
Yeah.
one that saw it all unfolding.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
because he was
understandable that
older,
he
he
was
saw it
more
unfolding.
affected.
Yeah. So he had 2 stable years though. That's why in his head, I believe, he has such a bond with his dad, right? They used to play video games together and he has all these great memories with his dad. Hannah will say, I don't have any memories at all with my dad.
Right.
So it's just that 2 years made such a huge difference.
Oh, that's a huge
And
difference.
considering they say the first 5 years are the most important, it's like, oh my gosh. So I'm always like, is it what I did now? Is it what I did before? Or is it just who they are also?
Right.
Because we're all independent people with our own thought processes.
Well, Kennedy is tough as nails. Like she really, John, my current husband, has said he was on Wall Street for a long time, and he said she's Kennedy's the most strong-willed person I've ever met, and I
Yeah.
was on Wall Street, so
Yeah. You're
that's
like,
saying a
that's saying a lot.
And she's
Yes.
very street smart, and I feel Kennedy would have been capable of living on her own at literally like 14 years old. She's very independent. She's an only child, only grandchild,
Yeah.
and our family's very small. I'm an only child, so she doesn't have cousins. I mean, she's like me. She
Yeah.
was just raised around adults and then of
That's like
course
me
her
too.
big friend group, but she's just very mature and cool and like she doesn't care and she doesn't let people affect her, which I think is huge from a
That
self-esteem
is so
perspective.
good.
I mean, you can say anything to her and she'll just be like, and I think part of that too though is being a major competitive athlete
Yeah.
because she has had tough coaches that will tell
Coaches
you
and other teams
yeah, other teams
and
and
other
even
teammates.
teammates, right?
That's the
Yeah,
hard part.
teammates who will hold your feet to the fire, and
Yeah.
she's lived that life for so long
I
that
think it's great.
she's unflappable when it comes to things like that.
I think that just that team sport aspect really probably just put her ahead of the game in a life capacity. You know what I mean? On dealing with people in business or personally. Just having that, like, understanding those boundaries at an early age is so cool.
I agree, and this
Yeah.
how important like, especially with competitive cheer, it is one of the sports and friends of mine that have had children in other sports, you have to rely on each other because with all
Absolutely.
the stunts and everything, it is
And Kennedy's
truly
a flyer.
a team sport. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so she's, like, gotta learn that trust aspect,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, these are
right from
my
the get-go.
yeah, these are my people, and
Yeah.
I'm putting it all on the line, but
Yeah.
they're also putting it all on the line that she's not gonna fall on them.
Yeah, right?
So
They're like, "I gotta catch this
I
girl.
gotta
I
catch
gotta
her, and I don't
gotta"
want her to kick me in the face or hit me with an elbow, so
Yeah,
she's
right.
gotta do her job, and I gotta do mine, and
Mm,
everything's gonna work great, and
right.
that's what I used to say to her when she'd go out to compete because she's not the kind of kid that, these moms that are like a lot of kids like it when they're
Right.
just super rah-rah before their kids go out. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't like stuff like that because she
Right.
wants to just be focused on what she's doing and not hear me go, "You're gonna be great," and
Yeah.
like that. She's not like
No, she's
that.
like, "I just wanna go do it."
Yeah, and so I just go, "Do your job, have fun."
I love it. I think she's gonna be a superstar.
Oh,
I do.
I
I
hope
I can't wait
so.
to see where her life goes.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
great. I am super excited for her. But when it comes to the Hateful Eight breaking up, so Alexis, I was trying to tell you, she was the
Yes.
first one to leave. So we had the party, and then she was leaving the next day. She's leaving so early, and so she came over and she's just like, "I'm gonna miss you, and thank you for helping raise
Aw.
me."
You're gonna make me cry now.
And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I just can't see the rest of them leave because this
Aw.
is like that was only the first one, and so
Aw.
then I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna be a mess for
But
like a
it's
month.
it's gonna be it's forever though, because just think how you're talking about Adley's mom, who was your cheer coach.
Right.
And when you say now today, like when you introduced her to me, you're like, this is my second mom.
Yeah.
So you're that girl. You're that girl to 8 girls instead of just one, right? So like really, they're gonna come back 20 years from now.
Oh gosh, I
Yeah,
hope so.
it's awesome. You actually have like a whole brew of daughters.
I feel like it. I do.
Yeah.
I always call them my kiddos when I would still drive them to cheer. Now
Yeah.
that they start driving themselves, obviously when they turn 16. But we used to have these huge carpools, and because they would practice for like 4 hours at a time, and you can't watch during
Yeah.
competition season because it's all under wraps, right?
Right.
So the moms and I would switch off driving, and we used to have one Escalade. We had two Escalades. We would keep one that was like we called it the puppies and pigs car because my 100-pound Labrador could ride in it,
Oh my
and
god.
the little pigs, which were my cheerleaders, because they'd be like
Oh,
4-hour practices
so
eating,
cute.
Chick-fil-A
All
and
their
French
things on
fries
the way
everywhere,
out.
and they're
Yeah.
sweaty and gross and smelly. And I'm like, this was like it was like a
It was so
legendary car
funny.
for them
Oh
that
my
they
god.
were in this puppies and pigs
Puppies and
Escalade.
pigs.
That was my little puppies and
God,
pigs.
I feel like it should have said like puppies and pigs on the
I probably
side.
should have put something on it.
So
And I
cute.
probably should have kept it and then just picked him up in it one of these days. I mean, like, we're going somewhere. Come
Oh my
on.
gosh, I don't think it's too late to do that.
I know, right? It would be
Yeah.
hysterical.
When they come home for Christmas.
That's right. I make him
Yeah.
go with me.
And they're all just like incredibly talented. And so Alexis, is she the one that does the influencer stuff?
Yes.
So I think she's like your biggest fan. She
Oh.
shares all your stuff. She always comments and everything, and I think it's amazing. I think she really adores you.
Well, I'm a big fan of hers and I love her parents. And
She's
yeah, I
amazing.
mean, actually, the Hateful Eight has given all of us moms a gift of a huge group of friends too. And we're
Yeah.
on all those chats together. And so we're all kind of living this, oh gosh, how are we going to handle this together? So that's
Aw.
nice as well. And I'm sure I'm not the only mom that has the big friend group that is
No, I
going
think
to
this
suffer
happens.
together. It does.
Yeah, I
I
think most
think.
moms go through this, especially like team sports.
Yeah.
Like when you're involved in team sports, like I didn't even get like just got a little taste of it. And I remember thinking like, oh, the soccer mom thing, like because like I'm never involved in anything except working. But like, but literally,
You do work a
I
lot.
did it, and I was like somewhere like around the third game when I was yelling and cheering for the other kids. I was like, oh my God, I'm a soccer mom. The conversion has
It
happened.
has
It is
happened.
literally taken over. And I was like, this has got to be the coolest thing ever. And then just the camaraderie of the parents is so fun. And it's like anybody, like if you can get your kids into team sports, not only will it change your kids' lives, it'll also change your life.
100%. And
Yeah.
we, with competitive cheer, you travel a lot.
Yeah.
And so all the moms would be together, for weekends, and we're all like holding hands and praying that no one falls. And,
Yeah.
so we have a huge bond because of it.
Yeah.
And my mom was heavily involved, and it was her life.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
now that there's no more cheer, it's like a big hole in
And
everybody's
even for
lives
grandma too,
for grandma big
because
time.
now it's really over,
It's over.
right?
Yeah.
Until
So
until
my
Kennedy has a
mom,
mini
like,
chair.
oh, and so Kennedy has a baby
A
chair. I
baby
can't even. A
chair.
little mini. They call
Yeah.
them minis when they're
Oh,
tiny. Or
yeah.
they're
That's
tinies
she'll
and
be
minis,
a
and they're the
mini chair.
cutest little things ever. So I was thinking about when Alexis was leaving, because Alexis is so heavily involved in social media.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fact that I have two really close friends from high school that I have kept in touch with.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if now, with all the social media that's out there, if kids are more likely to stay lifelong friends.
Oh my gosh. I would say, like, absolutely. I mean, because just for me, my experience, like, I've reconnected with people from high school that I never would have reconnected with if not for Facebook, which now I don't even use Facebook. Everything's Instagram, right? Or
Right. But
TikTok.
that's
But I mean, it's really cool in that sense. It's really social media is so cool in that, and just like Facebook and Instagram and how you can see like what's going on with people, like people that you knew forever, you can find people. You're like, "Oh my gosh, like somebody that there's so many people in your life that you like went to movies with or you had a short stint of whatever, right? You like went somewhere, you were like friends, they were part of your friend group and then they weren't or like whatever." And like I've literally reconnected with people like from 4th grade.
I know.
And it's like 4th grade, and it's so cool because I'm like, "Oh my god, they remember me too." Because you know how you have, like, thoughts every once in a while, you're like, of that random girl from 4th grade that was, like, sitting somewhere and like, "Wonder what happened to her." Well, now you just go, "Dit, dit, dit, dit.
Now you know.
Hi."
I know it's a little stalkery, but it's also very cool.
I think it's cool. It could be.
But I'm thinking for the Hateful Eight, like, well, I feel like when Kennedy checks into her apartment, she's gonna want to walk around on FaceTime and show the girls where she's living, and the girls are gonna want to show her.
Yeah.
And
Like,
then
all the things you
they're
could have
gonna be
never
like,
done.
okay, first day of class, and let's all like show each other what we're wearing, or
Yeah.
and what are your classes like? Show me your campus. I'm hoping that
So
social
cool.
media will actually have a beneficial role in keeping them close throughout these next 4 years. Like,
I
look at
think
my
for
new
sure.
boyfriend, or this is my new friend group. This is the sorority I joined,
Right?
and just being able to keep sharing.
So I think it's good when you're actually friends with people. It's not good when you're just watching other people's stuff and comparing your
I,
own life
I
all the
agree.
time. But like, it's so funny because that's why it's such a good and evil thing, right? Like, because
Totally.
it's making people depressed and anxiety ridden, but it's also connecting families and worlds and businesses together. Like, it's so amazing and so like just not healthy on the same time.
I
It's like it
know.
totally blows my mind. But I totally picture them forever. Like, oh, we're pregnant. Oh, here's the baby. Like they'll literally be able to maintain relationship no matter where they go. Like even actually, and it has inhibited a little bit too. So because I have 3 friends, one from 4th grade, I think you've met her, Elva, and then I have 2 other friends, Nicole, which is Lynn Curtin's aunt, right, that I grew up with for 30 years,
Lynn from
and
the OC, Real
yeah,
Housewives.
and then and a Tusa, which is like another friend. And there's like other random friends also that we've kept in touch with and we see like maybe once a year, a couple of times a year. That's it. That we're friends with the 3 of us, but we always had like the closest relationship bond, like saw each other on the regular, would meet up for coffee, even if it was 10 o'clock at night, the tables in Irvine. You like just always like seeing each other and just catching up. But the internet, ever since COVID, when we couldn't really catch up, that's when our relationships changed too. And now it's like we have a 100% online relationship. It's like weird. We used to
Oh,
get together all the time. And then when they were like, you can't get together anymore, we were like, okay, but we haven't gotten back to um seeing each other. So Nicole, she has cancer, um,
I know you
which
spend
has
every
been
Wednesday with her.
yeah, so I committed to myself to take her to chemo. So because but that's the only time I see her. It's not like there's anything, like, outside of that, and then our lives seem busier than they used to be, or I don't know, it's just, like, you don't make the time anymore or what, but I'm grateful without the internet, it's like, would we have just completely fallen apart because we do see each other like on FaceTime or texting or whatever, but only through the internet.
Yeah, that is a little it's an interesting point because we got so used to communicating through Zoom and everything with our friends that we lost maybe some of the touch
Yeah.
during the pandemic. So my friend Robin, who lives in New York, she and I went to high school together. She's one of the people I would refer to as one of my best friends, but we
Mhm.
actually were not that close in high school.
Right.
We reconnected because we both grew up in Tulsa
Yeah.
and we both wanted a bigger like city life.
Right.
And so she moved to New York City and I moved to LA
Yeah. Oh
eventually.
my gosh, you guys separated into the two largest city
Right. Yeah,
demographics,
because we
right?
wanted to be like super city
Right,
people.
right.
And so then when I started going to New York for Bravo, I mean, we kept in touch a little bit, but then I started seeing her and it was like we had so much in common that we didn't even realize in
Yeah.
high school. And if it
Yeah.
weren't for the fact that people kept in touch on Facebook that knew both of us,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have probably connected
Ever connected
then
again.
and then really bonded over things because she played basketball in high school and I cheered. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like we spent a ton of time in the same
Right.
group all the time.
Well, and
But
they're
it was
different.
interesting now that she wanted a big city life and I wanted a big city life, and I don't know what I was
Oh my
thinking, but no,
gosh.
I'm just
How
kidding.
many people from Tulsa probably want a big city
I
life?
know, right?
When you grow up there, it's like you just want something different.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
absolutely did.
I
But
grew up in Orange County and I still want something different. And then I go to something different and I'm like, "Oh my God, I grew up in the most amazing place."
Orange
Like,
County's
I
a
mean,
little hard
I
to
never felt so
trump.
blessed to
Yeah.
live where I live until I kept leaving it thinking there was something better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the grass,
I mean, we have
greener.
everything here.
I know we really do.
It's really
I wonder
crazy.
if now with the girls all going away to college to different states, if they'll end up all coming back to Orange County or LA or California in general.
I think there's gonna be one deciding factor.
Me? No.
No.
Just kidding.
Maybe.
No. Can we live with you?
No.
This whole working thing
I
is
know.
way too
I was
hard.
thinking
We don't want jobs.
that could
Can
be
we
it.
go
So
back
maybe
to
there's
our
2 deciding factors because that's legit. Can we go back to 2020, please?
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
they'll be the only people on Earth wanting to go back to 2020. So
No
funny.
working, just eating and swimming and
And
hanging
having
out.
fun,
I know,
yeah.
right?
But, no, I was gonna say it's if they find somebody, they fall in love or they get
Yeah,
married.
yeah.
I think that, like, it's so funny, like, college is a party and then starts out as a party anyway, and then it ends up like, "Oh my god, I gotta do this stuff or I'm not gonna graduate."
I know, that's what I'm afraid of.
So, it starts out as a party, but if you stay focused on what your goals are, I think that, like, if you're like, "I'm gonna be a lawyer or I'm gonna be a doctor, like, this is what my priority is," then you might just have some fun, focus on what you're doing, but if you're kind of, like, still like, I don't know, am I gonna do communication? Some of that might make it a good degree, and you find somebody, you might be like, "Ooh, the love story might be more important than your goals," and if you go with the love story, you know, then you end up not finishing your goals.
I when I speak at universities, I really encourage people to not let that happen
I
because I allowed
know.
it to happen, and part of that is my need to always have somebody in my life, and
Right?
so then following someone else and giving up your goals or canceling your goals partway through because you feel like
I think that the problem is that when you're young, when you say like you don't know that you gave up your goals until you're older because I think the reason you
I
got
agree.
swayed is because you didn't know what your goals were. And so I think like for me like and that was something I talked to my daughter about too, but her goal was to get married and be a mom. Like that's what she wanted. That was her goal. So she accomplished it.
Yeah.
But I think like when you go to college, like, you're in that age and you're kinda like, I don't know how many people, unless they were brought up, with their parents really directing them, are like, they know they wanna be a doctor, they know they wanna be whatever. Something had to influence them ahead of time, right? I think the majority of the population, by the time they're done with high school, are kind of like, "What do I really wanna do?" So you're like, "Okay, I'm gonna be a CPA," like, because you love numbers or because you know it pays well? Like, what what do you wanna do? So it's just about what your priorities are. Is your goal to make money, and then whatever I'm gonna go to school for is to make the most money? Or are you going to school because you know what you wanna do? I think a lot of people become doctors because it pays well, which now it pays almost the same as everyone else. I
I
feel
know
like they
it's
deserve a lot more
horrible.
money
Yeah,
for what they have
absolutely.
to go through and the schooling that they have to do. But like a lot of people end up in like English major, communication major, like, you know, just in these careers that are like, okay, well, that's a job and I get my degree, but I don't know if that's like something I want to do every day.
thought it was interesting when Kennedy was writing her essays,
Yeah.
speaking of what people choose to do. Um, and as I said, she's tough. I mean, she's a pretty, I don't know, she's not a real like emotional kind of person. So, but she said that she wants to be a child psychologist because she
Mm,
chose psychology as her major. And she wrote in her essay that it was because the child psychologist that she worked with
mhm.
after my abuse and the suicide changed her life.
Right. Well, see, so she knew so early on that
Yeah.
she wanted to help somebody the way that she was helped.
Yeah. So I think what to your point, it's either you have parents that are coaching you along as to what you want to be because they're telling you what you want to be.
Right?
Like, I'm a doctor, you should be a doctor. I'm a
Yeah.
doctor, you should be a doctor. You should be a doctor. We're a family of doctors.
Yeah, that's what we
That's what we
are.
are. That's what you will be.
Right?
And then finally they're like, I guess I'm going to be a doctor. I
Yes,
don't
this
know.
is it.
Yeah,
Right?
either that or a life experience. It could
Right.
be life changing to know so early on
Yeah.
because I definitely didn't know. I was just like, I don't know. I like biology. So,
I know. See, yeah. I
but
mean,
then,
I was like my daughter. I just wanted to like have 5 kids and just
no.
stay home and like make dinners, corporate wife thing. Like, but that's how I was raised. It's really interesting. So like half of my brain is my mom, who was a corporate wife and like kind of raised me that way with the whole like like literally I grew up in like Martha Stewart living type of way of thinking, right? Like everything is even and everything is perfect and this is how we do it. And then my dad is like the other side of my brain almost 100% because he's an entrepreneur, like always invested in things, took me to investment seminars when I was younger. And for him, it's like, well, he didn't have a son, he had a daughter. So he would just like teach me all of these things. But then it was still the expectation was for me to like get married.
Oh, that's
That was how
interesting.
they were raised. It was more like you get married and you go, I don't know, you go be a wife.
Yeah.
And my parents were raised that way. And my grandparents, they were like, you take care of your son, your daughter marries off. And even when my grandparents, they actually did all the blueprints for Howard Hughes aircrafts, they told you before. And so they did really well with that. So my grandmother lived a pretty privileged life and she never worked or anything. And she raised my mom that way. And it was more like, but even when my mom got married, her whole thing was like, you're married, now you're your husband's responsibility. So like even when she died, everything was left to my uncle because it was like, that's the son. The daughter should marry off.
Ah, I see.
And
God,
I thought
isn't it
that was like
crazy?
such a weird and wild way of thinking.
I
I'm like,
know.
what? Like it makes 0 sense to me,
Right.
But then like I had to go through it before I realized my relationship with my parents. It's like, why is my dad like not really thinking of me like this? Or why is my mom like not think of me like this? It's like, oh my God, that's because that's how they were raised.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very traditional values for
Yeah, I
sure.
can't do that. I
Yeah. I
think,
can't imagine any of the Hateful Eight feeling that way at all.
right?
They're so, all so independent and strong
Yeah.
and they have each other. So I think that they'll hold each other accountable too.
They'll know. They won't just marry somebody because they feel like they can't do it for themselves.
Correct. 100%.
Yeah.
And I think everything that they've seen in their lives and like you said, all the competition and they know how to stand up for themselves. So I
Yeah.
look forward already for them coming back and they haven't even left yet.
I know.
This is horrible. Oh my gosh. You might have to go with me
I
to drop
think
Kennedy off at college
I
because
think
I
we should
might
get
have
an
a meltdown.
apartment. We should get an apartment down there. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
literally,
But we
we could
cannot
stay
tell
for like
her. What if she
no.
listens to this?
Oh my gosh. I don't think she has the
I don't think
time.
she listens either. She's too busy with her own
I
social
know,
media and
right?
everything else. She's like, I already know all my mom's stories. I don't need to
Yeah,
listen
I
to
don't
this
need to
stuff.
spend this time listening to this. Oh,
I
it's
love it.
funny.
Well, okay, I'm going to keep you posted.
I can't wait.
I know it's going to be great. All
Thanks.
right. The baby's going away.
Aw, see you soon though.
Yeah.
Yeah.